So I went ahead and bought the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. After some hesitation, I just took the plunge and I went for it. And in this video, I want to go over the main reasons why I did that, and then I'll go over some of the differences between the 9 and the 10. So let's get started. And the first thing that I want to mention is the wireless charging coil. That was a big pain in the butt for me with the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, because the 9 Pro Fold had it lower and created some issues with my charging stands. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold went ahead and fixed that, and it's in the normal range of where it's usually located. So now it works on all of my stands, doesn't matter what it is. Next is that they added the Pixel Snap, which, you know, if you're an iPhone user, is MagSafe, and both actually pretty cool names, so I'll give them that. This is a big deal because this is the first foldable, at least in the US market, that has the ability to use MagSafe or Pixel Snap. And that's a pretty cool feature, very useful feature for accessories and things like that. I just want to show how well it works, and it sticks on there really well. It works really well, as expected. And also that's going to help with magnetic charging as well, magnetic alignment. And I actually have a magnetic charger here from Anker, and snaps on and it's charging. The second major reason, and actually it could probably, depending on what you do in your day-to-day, could be more important than even Pixel Snap. And that's going to be that it's the first foldable, again, another first, at least in the US market, that is IP68 water and dust resistant. That's a big win for foldables. Obviously, that doesn't mean that's going to be able to handle all sorts of dust. If you get dust in the screen, like big particles, rocks or whatever, and close it, it's going to ruin the screen. But in terms of the fact that it's not going to get into the hinge mechanism and ruin the life of the hinge, is a big deal. And it's very important, especially, you know, I live in Florida. There's beaches, which I've never taken a foldable to a beach because I don't want to ruin it. And there's also just sandy dirt everywhere. So having the IP68 is a big one. So those were the two major reasons for me wanting to go to the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Now, some of the more minor differences that I actually like about it. And the first one is the hinge being smaller and less of a border around it. So we compare the 9 and the 10. You can actually see that, I mean, visually, without even being like right next to each other, you can see that the 9 Pro Fold has a way bigger border from the end of the screen to the end of the hinge. And the Pixel 10 Pro Fold is much thinner. It puts it into the ballpark of the Z Fold 7 and the other foldables that are, you know, out right now and new right now. And that's going to be a big one for just comfort of using it, because if you're going to have a phone that's this wide, yet the screen is not as wide as the phone is wide, you're just wasting space and making the phone more bulky than it needs to be. And it's going to ruin or make the experience worse, not ruin it completely. So the 10, it goes pretty much right up to it. So it did a good job. I mean, the screen still has big borders, big bezels, which I think they could really slim down, because I actually compared it to the OnePlus Open, which is like a 3-year-old phone, foldable phone at this point. Both the bezels and the border are thinner than what's on the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. So Pixel really needs to step it up here and make the screen bigger. Not because I really care for a bigger screen, but if the phone's already that size, why not make the screen bigger? It's not going to ruin the experience because the phone's already that big anyway. Other than that, it's not going to be a major difference. Some other upgrades are going to be that the battery is bigger now, so it's going to help you have longer battery life. It's now at 5,015 milliamp hours versus the 4650 milliamp hours. So that's, you know, 400, just about 400 milliamp hours. That's going to provide a pretty good amount of extra battery life. The chip most likely got more efficient, at least in weaker state. Obviously, the newer chips, well, as soon as you crank up the power, it's going to drain the heck out of the battery more than the previous generations. But for the regular day-to-day tasks, is more efficient. So that's going to help as well. One thing I do want to mention is I thought it was going to be an eSIM only. I heard a rumor about that, and I was very disappointed. But I'm happy to note that it is not eSIM only. I have a physical SIM right here, and I was able to stick my SIM card in there, and it you know, that's just my favorite way to change the SIM card, especially since I'm switching phones constantly. If I ended up doing eSIM, that's going to be a pain in the butt for me. Maybe for the average user that doesn't switch the SIM card all too often, it's not going to be a big deal. It might actually be better to have eSIM for all I know. But, you know, for me, it's actually like that. Plus, you still have the option to do eSIM if you want to. So another small upgrade is going to be the screen brightness. So the outer screen went to 3000 from 2700 and to 1600 from... I'm sorry, 1800 from 1600. In terms of real world use, it's not going to be much of a difference. You probably didn't even notice it. So that's not even going to be a major one to worry about, but it is a bit better. The cameras have no noticeable upgrade whatsoever. Maybe some computational differences, maybe. But even then, Pixel kind of keeps up pretty well with that between the different phones, the older phones. So I wouldn't even worry about that at all. I was hoping to have the, even though I don't really use it too often, but the camera mode for portrait video, that was one that was missing from the foldables from Pixel for whatever reason. Maybe it's like a heat thing or something. So it's not available in the 10 Pro Fold either. That didn't come over. That's a bit of a letdown. But to end this all on a positive note, the last thing that they upgraded was the battery charging. So aside from the battery size being larger, it's actually charging at 30 watts versus 21 wired and 15 watts versus 7.5 wireless. And that's actually a pretty big deal. 21 to 30 is a decent upgrade. That's 50%. Yeah, that's a 50% increase. And then, you know, it's literally double going from 7.5 to 15 watts. So that's definitely a good move by them. Besides the fact that, you know, the wireless charging is actually useful now. And as you can see, I ended up going with the Moonstone, which I actually think is a very nice color. It's another gray variant, but it looks like it has a hint of like a blue hue to it, the lightest amount of blue hue, but it's basically gray, like mid gray, and then it's accented with lighter gray on the edges and the camera bump. It is matte all the way around, which is nice, except for the hinge, which that possibly might be like a sliding thing. If it's polished like this, it probably has less chances of getting scratched up or scratching something else up. I'm thinking that might be why the hinge itself is polished versus everything else being matte. It would be cool if everything was matte, but you know, at least having the outside edges like this matte is gonna be a lot nicer and less fingerprints. All right, so for my final thoughts, I do think it's actually a pretty decent upgrade from 9 to 10, just for the ones that at least were important to me. If the ones I mentioned were important to you, then it's not gonna be worth the upgrade, guarantee you that. If you're going from the original Pixel to this one, it's going to be worth the upgrade again because you're getting the bigger battery, better chip, the Pixel Snap, wireless charging, which the original Pixel had wireless charging, but it's going to be faster here. Just enough upgrades to make a difference. And then where does the Pixel need to improve on next? I think it's going to be the inner screen. Not that the picture is good and the brightness is good, but that crease has to be reduced. It right now is the worst crease on any of the foldables that are out right now. That just needs to be where they improve it next. I lost hope on getting the premium cameras on it. It's just not gonna happen. The only phone that's actually doing that right now is the Z Fold 7, and they knocked it out of the park with the main sensor. Pixel is basically doing the same thing, but with a smaller main sensor. So in that sense, you're not going to have as much background blur, and you're missing out on a few features of benefits of having a larger sensor. But I mean, that's just what it is with foldables. The pictures come out great. The video comes out good. I mean, there's no complaints about it. It's just that you're not getting the benefits of a larger sensor is all. If you are interested in seeing some of the software upgrades, I did talk about that in a previous video, which I'm going to link up here. So be sure to check that out if you want to see what software changes came to the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.